Okay, so it's time out in kindergarten. Oops, I mean Canadian Parliament. Okay, that's a mean joke, but I don't know how many people have seen this, but it's pretty crazy. So right, in Canada had an election on October 14th, right? I don't know how many people heard about that either, but we re-elected the same minority government, except it was a couple seats stronger. Fast forward, just over like around a month and a half, and well, after this election that had like next to no media attention, they decided and was like pretty boring to watch. They decided, like, the politicians suddenly decided to make it totally interesting, and the opposition parties, which had more than half the seats because a minority government was elected, right, decide to form a coalition government, and they want to defeat the government in hopes of taking over as a coalition. Now, if they did defeat the government in a non-confidence vote, they wouldn't necessarily take over. The Governor General would have to decide. Governor General is the Queen's representative in Canada because, Canada used to be part of the British Empire, right? So our Governor General is still technically our head of state, but she doesn't really do anything most of the time. So like her role was just suddenly made important in this last little while. So if the government is defeated, the Governor General would have to choose in between letting the coalition govern, or she could also choose to have yet another election just over, like I said, just over a month and a half after the last one. And everybody was so mad about the last one because it didn't accomplish anything. But Prime Minister Stephen Harper asked for a prorogue before that could happen. And a prorogue is when the Parliament shuts down. Normally they're only used, this is the first time it's ever been used to avoid a non-confidence vote. Before that it was usually like, if they finished everything they wanted to do, the government could ask for a prorogue so everybody could go home and take a break. So this is kind of unusual, especially in the middle of an economic crisis. Canada now has no a lot of the big decisions that would have been needed to deal with it, Canada can't make until the prorogue ends in January. That's what I meant about time out in kindergarten, because you guys should have seen this. It's unfriggin' believable. I don't know about other parliaments too much. I know that other government, how other politicians behave in other countries too much. I know in the States, the Bush administration is a bunch of idiots, but beyond that, I'm not totally sure. But Canadian politicians, it's ridiculous. But no joke, politics in Canada are a bit like kindergarten. They are not very civil at all. In the House of Commons, they get all mad and they start yelling at each other, and it's almost kind of funny. The best is watching my grandpa watch the House of Commons. He totally freaks out and you lying son of a bitch, points at random people there. It's sounds unbelievable, but he totally does it. It's just amazing. But no, honestly, they get mad, they yell, it's pretty unbelievable. It's seriously like watching a bunch of kindergartners argue. Oh my god. You've got to see it to understand what I mean, but it's pretty ridiculous. And right now, it's pretty conservative. I can just imagine if a couple decades from now, a few years from now even, maybe, how the younger generation is a lot more liberal when it comes to language and all that. I can just totally picture them swearing at each other in the future. Someday people might watch it for entertainment. No joke, it's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, so there's a prorogue, so everybody's got a chance to cool down, and the coalition might fall apart because Mike Ignatieff, even though he was in favor of it, later on, at when the idea was first came up, he was all no, this is bullshit kind of thing, and then he just flip-flopped on the thing. So I don't know. Yeah, another flip-flopper in politics, right? But yeah, now that he's in charge of the coalition, it might just set of the Liberal Party, because Bob Rae stepped down and he was the only other competitor. So the coalition might kind of fall apart. I'm so glad Bob Rae stepped down though, because I'm not an Ignatieff fan, but at least now I don't have to be terrified of the next election, because if Bob Rae had become Prime Minister, the man could not run Ontario. It's one of our provinces. He was Premier of that, and he totally fucked it up. So do we really want him as leader of Canada. If you can't lead a province, you probably can't lead a country. And get this, he wasn't even a Liberal back when he was in charge of Ontario. He was an NDP. What a dumbass. But anyways, yeah, that's your little update. Oh, and well, keep checking back because I'm totally going to upload a video about how much I hate Dave Wilkins later on this week. Okay, thanks for watching, and that's it for now.